सोमनाथन सचिव और श्री अखिलेश कुमार शर्मा सचिव MeitY को इस वर्कशॉप के वक्ता, विशेषज्ञ पैनल के सदस्य, केंद्र एवं राज्य सरकारों के मंत्रालयों, विभागों के वरिष्ठ अधिकारी, इकोसिस्टम से जुड़े संगठनों के प्रतिनिधि, UIDAI मुख्यालय एवं क्षेत्रीय कार्यालय की ओर हुए अधिकारियों का हार्दिक स्वागत करती हूं। अब मैं अपने सम्मानित अतिथियों को मंच पर आने का निमंत्रण देती हूं। श्री अमिताभ कांत, CEO नीति आयोग, श्री TV सोमनाथन जी, वित्त सचिव, श्री अखिलेश कुमार शर्मा, मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ इलेक्ट्रॉनिक एंड इंफॉर्मेशन टेक्नोलॉजी, श्री आलोक शुक्ला, DDG मीडिया। May I now call upon Dr. Saurabh Garg to present a bouquet of flowers to Shri Amitabh Kant ji. May I request Dr. Saurabh Garg to present a bouquet to Shri TV Somanathan ji. May I request Dr. Garg to felicitate Shri Alkesh Kumar Sharma ji. May I now call upon Shri Alok Shukla ji, DDG Media, to present a bouquet to Dr. Saurabh Garg. एक दशक पूर्व आधार की संस्थापना हुई थी और आज आधार विश्व का सबसे बड़ा डिजिटल आइडेंटिटी प्रोजेक्ट बनकर विश्व में भारत की सफलता का प्रतीक बन गया है। गत 12 वर्षों में UIDAI ने एक लंबा सफर तय किया है। 133 करोड़ आधार, 6300 करोड़ से अधिक अपडेट्स और 7000 करोड़ ऑथेंटिकेशन के साथ आधार सिर्फ भारत ही नहीं, विश्व में भी परिपक्वता हासिल कर चुका है। परिवर्तन जीवन का अभिन्न अंग है। नए समय में टेक्नोलॉजी और आवश्यकताओं के अनुरूप परिवर्तन करना प्रगति के लिए अत्यंत आवश्यक है। आज हम भविष्य की ओर नए युग की अपेक्षा को परिपूर्ण करने के लिए संकल्पबद्ध हैं। इस कार्यशाला का उद्देश्य आधार इकोसिस्टम के भविष्य में किए जाने वाले महत्वपूर्ण कार्यों की पहचान करना और आधार रूपी विशिष्ट पहचान के क्षेत्र में व्यापक बनाने के लिए कार्य योजना तैयार करना है। इस कार्यशाला का उद्देश्य विभिन्न राज्यों के प्रतिनिधियों के विचार जानना और उन्हें समावेशी विकास नीति के तहत नियोजित करना भी है। Keeping pace with the changing trends, a need has been felt to not only enhance awareness of the states about Aadhaar services, but also to build capabilities to strengthen their digital footprints. This workshop also aims to sensitize the state agencies about technical, regulatory, and compliance mechanisms pertaining to digital identity and facilitate easy transition to sustainable financial and social inclusion through Aadhaar. During the course of today's workshop, we will be privileged to hear from our honorable guest and witnessed best practices stirred by the state government utilizing Aadhaar platform for development at grassroots level. Ladies and gentlemen, the program for the day is available in the delegates' kits placed near you. To begin with the day's proceeding, may I introduce Dr. Saurabh Garg, who is presently the CEO of Unique Identification Authority of India. He is an IS officer of Odisha cadre and has worked in the Ministry of Finance, Government of India, and in the Department of Agriculture, Industries, and Urban Development at the Government of Odisha. I now invite Dr. Saurabh Garg to address the audience.
Morning and a warm welcome to Mr. Amitabh Kant, Dr. TV Somanathan, Mr. Alkesh Sharma, and all the guests who have come from different states additional chief secretaries, principal secretaries, other senior officials, and the large number of senior officials who are also present from different ministries and departments of the Government of India, and my colleagues from UIDAI. We are gathered here today a few weeks after we had a similar kind of a workshop for Government of India ministries and departments on informing everyone about the recent initiatives taken for simplifying Aadhaar usage, and also, as mentioned earlier, to make them abreast of what are the legal provisions and what are the kind of compliances that are required. So a warm welcome to everyone, and I hope we have a very fruitful deliberation during the course of the day. It will also, we'll also get to know of how Aadhaar is being used by various state governments, how effectively it is being used to transform the implementation of schemes. In fact, in many cases, we have seen that how beneficiaries are identified, how benefits are delivered, and the kind of transparency and efficiency, accountability that has been brought about by the usage of Aadhaar has been extremely heartwarming. The direct benefits transfer schemes, we will be having the DBT mission making a presentation. And more recently during COVID, the kind of possibilities that existed have really expanded the horizons of where and how Aadhaar can be utilized. We've taken stock. It's been a decade or more since Aadhaar was introduced, and the first Aadhaar was given in 2010. And we've reached a stage now, after a decade, that all adults residing in India have an Aadhaar. Anyone who is above the age of 18 has an Aadhaar. We have reached that stage of saturation across the country. There are certain pockets in a few states, remote areas where there is there could be a slight less saturation, and that's what we are focusing. But given the fact that we have reached this stage, it's time to effectively leverage Aadhaar for the concept of what the Honorable Prime Minister calls the ease of living. And I think it's in that objective that we are holding this workshop today, how Aadhaar can help in the ease of living for residents of the country. Over the last 10 years, Aadhaar has become the preferred identity for all. Earlier, some people had passports, some had driving licenses, some had ration cards, some had Manrega cards. There were problems on both sides, on the part of the person trying to hand over that identity or claim himself or herself who they are, and also on the person accepting that identity, whether to accept this or not. So we've reached a stage where it is universally accepted, it is nationally recognized, and more importantly, it can be verified anytime and anywhere. And it necessarily does not require internet connectivity. I think that's very important to realize, and that's one of the issues where I think we can do a lot more work and focus on how verification can be done, authentication can be done, to ensure that the person who's presenting that identity is actually that person. And I think a part of the reason for the ubiquitous use of the Aadhaar has also been the fact that it's an identity which can't be lost, it can't be stolen, it can't be tampered with, it can't be destroyed. And the reason for that is that the biometrics associated with that are only with you, whether it's the fingerprints, it's the face or the iris. And that's used for the method of verification or authentication. So with this background that we took stock of what is it that we would like to do in the next 10 years or the next decade, and which is what we would like to discuss with you, talk with you, and see how it can be used in that ease of living, as I mentioned. So there are 5 focus areas that we are looking at going forward, and in each of them, we require the support of the state governments going forward. The first is on resident centricity. There will be a separate presentation on that and what we mean by access, convenience, how digital means can be used more effectively by residents. The second is on enhancing usage, which is again one of the focus areas for today. It's already being used in the fintech sector, how it can be used in others, what are the kind of innovations we can do around the use of Aadhaar to improve residents' daily living. The third, which is as important, is strengthening the credibility around Aadhaar on how we can monitor frauds better, how we can make it more error-free so that there is less failure of authentications, which sometimes we see. We'll be talking about that also. And what are the gaps we need to ensure that the strengthening of the credibility. The fourth area that we are focusing on is on upgrading technology. We already have moving to a private cloud, one of the few organizations in the country which have their own cloud. Cyber security is extremely important for us. The privacy and confidentiality of the data that we have, that remains paramount in all our activities that we do. And we will continue to strengthen the technological basis that we work on. And last, out of these five, on resident centricity, enhancing usage, strengthening credibility, upgrading technologies, the international outreach. Under the Sustainable Development Goals, target 16.9 says that by 2030, legal identity for all is part of the SDG goals. And a digital legal identity makes it so much more stronger. It's been recognized in a number of studies that the fact of giving the identity, which is a very important means of empowerment in any case, also adds significantly to the GDP growth rates. So I think international outreach, a number of countries have approached the Indian government on this. They have approached UIDAI also. So we look forward to working with various countries on the international outreach. So these are some of the objectives today. These are some of the areas that we will continue to work as we go forward. And once again, thank you all for coming, taking the time out, and look forward to working with all the state governments, with all the central ministries on the basic objective of how Aadhaar can help in the ease of living of residents. Thank you once again. Welcome to all of you.
Thank you, Dr. Garg, for the informative and valuable address. Continuing the inaugural session, may I introduce Shri Alkesh Kumar Sharma, Secretary MeitY. Shri Alkesh Kumar Sharma is a senior IAS officer and has previously tenated the appointments of Secretary, Coordination at Cabinet Secretariat. Mr. Sharma has also earlier served as a Managing Director of Kochi Metro Rail and CEO of the Kochi Smart City Mission. May I now invite Shri Alkesh Kumar Sharma, Secretary MeitY, to enlighten us with his views and guidance.
Thank you, respected CEO of NITI Aayog, Finance Secretary Somanathan sir, CEO of UIDAI, distinguished friends. As CEO UIDAI has already set the context and the agenda for the meeting, so I think there is nothing much which I should add except saying that with over 1.3 billion cardholders today, Aadhaar has become synonymous with the digital identity of almost every resident in India. It is being used for the authentication of residents' identity, to avail all kinds of, most of the services are being now availed of using this as an authentication. It has benefited a large number of farmers, students, pensions. We talk about DBT. In fact, I was also looking after DBT in my previous assignment. So that has gone to almost more than 581 institutions have, and the departments have been associated with that. So this has become an important component of Government of India's digital economy program, as well as ease of living, which we aspire to achieve. He has already mentioned it is safe, secure, and accountable with superior features. It provides data security and provides privacy. And it has established a set procedure for collection, storage, and processing of data. We have set up very high benchmarks for its data security and privacy. There have been small instances here and there where people have said that their Aadhaar has been used or has been photoshopped and all that. So that is something which each individual has to be a little more cautious and careful about. Government is also coming out with a data protection bill, which will have provision for consent management, purpose limitation, use limitation, and data share for giving adequate protection and privacy. Many important digital platforms of Government of India, DigiLocker, eKYC, e-signature, they have all been using Aadhaar authentication. It has been used for opening bank accounts. Digital banking system has come in place. We are soon coming out with a national family registry, and I think Aadhaar will be one of the base, one of the important and most important component of that. As CEO UIDAI has mentioned, that now that there is a need to basically scale up and expand the reach of this for more services, as well as probably we have to take it up to the international level. There have already been requests from a couple of nations that they would like to study our system and probably would like to follow the similar things. In the past couple of years, government has also taken many steps to improve and increase its use. We are coming out with national data governance policy. We are also coming out with, as I said, national family register, and there are multiple kind of activities. Now, Aadhaar 1 has done a lot of good things, but there is a need to look back and see, evaluate what all we have done and what all that needs to be done now. And Aadhaar 2.0, which is going to come soon, I think stakeholder consultations are already taking place. He had a lot of consultations. We are also following up with other consultations, and I think we'll soon be coming out with a new kind of a framework for Aadhaar 2.0. I would like to compliment CEO UIDAI and all of you for being an important part of this journey. And I'm sure during the day's deliberations, a lot of best practices will be presented here. Many of you would like to share it with each other and probably see if that can be adopted in your state. And for a lot of other activities, we would be happy to provide all support to state government as well as UIDAI, of course. And if there's anything we can do, we'll always be available. I would once again like to compliment Saurabh and his team for setting up today's workshop, and would like to extend all my best wishes for today's deliberations. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your kind words. We have another visionary amongst us, Shri T.V. Somanathan, Finance Secretary. Shri T.V. Somanathan is a senior IS officer of 1987 batch. He has played an important role in the formation of government policies in sync with the changing times. His contribution of 80+ articles on finance, economic aspects, and policies related to the general public is noteworthy. May I now invite Shri T.V. Somanathan ji to kindly address the gathering and share his thoughts with us.
Chief Executive Officer of NITI Aayog, CEO UIDAI, Secretary MeitY, other guests on the dais, fellow officers and staff from state and central governments, other guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure for me to be at this workshop today. In functions like this, two kinds of people are invited to speak. First is those who know a lot about the subject, and you have 4 of them on the dais. The second category of people is those who are invited purely for their positional value or because they have some nuisance value. I fall in that second category. I actually don't know much about Aadhaar. It's not a subject on which I have any great expertise. But the ministry that I work in has a lot of stake in the success of Aadhaar. So I'm a sort of consumer of the Aadhaar revolution. In that sense, I'm very happy to be here. We all know about the many benefits that have come from the implementation of Aadhaar and how it has helped to ensure that benefits reach those who are supposed to be reached and do not reach those who are not supposed to be reached. And I just thought that the one thing I would like to mention here is an example, what to me was a striking example of the potential of Aadhaar. So in the year 2021, in the dark days of the first wave of the COVID pandemic, the Government of India announced that state governments would be allowed additional borrowing of 2% in addition to the normal 3% of gross state domestic product. A part of this was linked to certain reforms, and one of them, 0.25% of GSTP, was linked to making sure that 100% of family members in 100% of ration cards were seeded with Aadhaar. For the Northeast, it was relaxed to 95%. But otherwise, 100% of family members in 100% of ration cards were supposed to be seeded with Aadhaar. Now, this actually, in most states, got done, partly because of the fiscal incentive and partly because it is worth doing on its own. The obvious result which all of us could anticipate is that it helped in eliminating ineligible beneficiaries, people who had more than one ration card and so on. But the other benefit which many people are not aware of is today ration cards are portable across the country. So if you are a migrant worker in Bombay who comes from Bihar, it is today possible for you to collect your rations in Bombay while the remaining family members in your family collect their rations in Bihar. And this is not a theory. The Department of Consumer Affairs and the Ministry of Food have informed me that, in fact, crores of interstate portability transactions and intra-state portability transactions have taken place, and they are taking place. The other unexpected benefit of this, the intra-state portability, and this is a case study from Bihar, is that because the card is portable, I don't have to go to one particular ration shop. I can go to any ration shop and pick up my rations. And what had happened is about 500 ration shops became unviable because the salesmen there used to cheat. And the consumers voted with their feet and started going to other ration shops. And the volume of transactions in these shops dropped, as a result of which either they had to improve their customer service or they had to close. So these are some of the unexpected benefits of Aadhaar, which I have found very striking. So all I have to say is that I think we need to maximize the potential of this very revolutionary tool that India has invented, one of those things which India has not copied from the West. We are usually a little shy of anything that we have invented, and that is seen in our slightly tentative approach to implementing Aadhaar. We are always scared a little bit, data protection, privacy, this, that. But let me tell you, I have lived 9 years in the United States. Everybody shares his social security number. You are asked for it every time when you call either a bank or anybody. So it is not something that is such a state secret. It is not unique to India. And we already have a Supreme Court judgment on this subject, and there is a law. So within the contours of that law and sticking within the parameters of that law, I think we should unabashedly do everything that will help us to maximize the potential of Aadhaar without having these, sort of apprehensions that something somewhere we are doing is wrong. No, it is not. I think let us be very clear. Let us stick to the letter of the law and let us do whatever can be done to maximize the potential of this very uniquely Indian scientific and administrative achievement. Thank you.
Many thanks, sir, for sharing your views. Now I would like to introduce our guest of honor, Shri Amitabh Kant, CEO, NITI Aayog. Mr. Amitabh Kant has been a key driver of award-winning initiatives such as Make in India, Startup India, and Incredible India. Mr. Amitabh Kant has to his credit the Economic Times Policy Change Agent of the Year Award.
Distinguished guests, my colleagues, the Finance Secretary, Saurabh, Mr. Alkesh Sharma, all the other distinguished panelists, all the leading representatives from the state governments. I'm here because I've been a long-term admirer of Aadhaar and the Aadhaar ecosystem and the transformational role that it has played in ushering in a new India. It has been one of the most successful biometric-based identity program in the world. And its overwhelming success is underscored by the wide number of recognitions that it has received from across the world. But I think more important than anything else is that it's really the bedrock of service delivery of all government welfare schemes. It has ensured faster benefit transfer without any intervention or intermediaries. It has saved a vast amount of money in a range of government schemes. Over close to about 315 central schemes and 500 state schemes are leveraging Aadhaar to ensure effective delivery. And to my mind, the impact it has had is truly monumental in service delivery. And it's really path-breaking from the time when I was in district and when I was a collector till now. And it's set actually a huge example of how the digitization of public infrastructure can play an enormous role in inclusive development. And many countries across the world actually at this point of time are looking to replicate the Aadhaar system to digitize their own public infrastructure. I've seen during the at the time of both the demonetization, when the digital payment was ushered in, we can today find digital payments in every city today. I really want to highlight that digital transaction breaching about $1 trillion mark in 21-22 is path-breaking. UPI does more transaction than what MasterCard is doing in 44 years of existence. UPI has done in 4 to 5 years. But it's important to understand what this has led to, because the platform approach taken by the government in conceptualizing UPI has actually, on top of the platform, we've allowed private sector to innovate. And that has resulted in top-class payment products being developed on top of it. And, with payment problem being solved through UPI, many young entrepreneurs shifted towards lending on both consumer and MSME-based lending. And fintech has allowed innovation, allowing completely new models to come up. So you've seen a whole range of new innovators and young entrepreneurs, young startups like Lending Card, Pine Lab, MobiQuick to come in that sphere. And then they moved beyond that to personal finance. And with sufficient comfort with payments and lending, there's been focus towards personal finance, money management, investments, trading. And then you've had a plethora of top-class entities which came up in this space. Zerodha, Grow, Upstock, all unicorns. And they've created an ecosystem of modern investment apps. And then this same young entrepreneurs many young entrepreneurs moved on to even more complex segments. And what we are witnessing today is the emergence of financial products which target the more complex segments. You have new insurance tech companies such as Digit, Acco, all becoming unicorns, and they are simplifying insurance, covering end-to-end life cycle of origination, underwriting, claims, selection. So what we've seen is that on account of Aadhaar, actually, we've thrown up a huge amount of innovation, brought in private sector, created a great global payment platform. It became an instrument of bridging inequality. It has financially empowered women, a whole extensive reach, whole range of things across the country. So it's made massive impact across the country. And I think, to my mind, in my career, this is the most, I've worked in government for close to about 43 years. To my mind, this is the most path-breaking initiative which has been taken. And therefore, I really want to, the extensive coverage achieved by the Aadhaar program would not have been actually possible without the state governments. And that is why there's a huge significance and importance to this workshop, because Aadhaar has become a key pillar of support for public service delivery. And if India is to leapfrog in terms of innovation and take India on the path of becoming a global technological powerhouse, then states have to use Aadhaar in a very, very big way, and states have to become the key driver of innovation, and they will have to use Aadhaar to transform the lives of many more people and achieving complete saturation of all the government schemes. If complete saturation of government schemes have to be reached and the last mile delivery has to be achieved at the grassroots level, Aadhaar will play a very major role. And therefore, this workshop to my mind, is very critical. It'll help us to chart out a path so that states, governments can better leverage Aadhaar and its ecosystem, and they will have a very great role in writing this new, completely new, exciting chapter in the evolution of Aadhaar and the Aadhaar story. So I think my view is that states will have to become now the key driver of this new journey of Aadhaar. So I wish this workshop all the best and a great success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your view. I would now like to invite Shri Aayog Shukla, DDG Media, UIDAI, for the vote of thanks.
Respected CEO NITI Aayog, respected Finance Secretary, respected Secretary MeitY, officers from central ministries, officers from state government and union territories, representatives from print and electronic media, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great privilege to propose a vote of thanks to all the dignitaries and participants who have made it convenient to attend this workshop on the recent initiative for simplifying Aadhaar usage. We are deeply grateful to CEO NITI Aayog, Shri Amitabh Kant, for presiding over this inaugural function and for his enlightening address with the novelty of ideas. Actually, he suggested to organize such a workshop for state governments and UTs on 22nd April when the such workshop was organized for central ministries. Sir, I take this opportunity to express our sincere thanks to Finance Secretary for gracing this inaugural function. We are extremely grateful for your insightful address, sir. I must express my deep gratitude to our respected Secretary MeitY, Shri L.K. Sharma, sir, for providing his guidance for conducting this workshop and for his inspiring speech. I will also like to thank the representatives of print and electronic media who have come in large numbers to cover this event. I will like to thank our CEO, Dr. Saurabh, under whose supervision and overall guidance this workshop is being conducted. Lastly, my thanks are due to my colleagues in UIDAI who are working tirelessly with great dedication to make this program a success. Thank you all.
May I request our eminent guest and media to proceed to the VIP lounge for a high tea. I also request the remaining guests to please remain seated as we are shortly commencing the next session of the day by UIDAI.